I'm Bob Kester, here today with a hero to the local lore when it comes to garage band greats from the 60s into the 70s. I'm here with Peter Newland from the band Fat. Peter, welcome.
Good to see you.
We last spoke for the Jam for Springfield. You were helping out the open pantry of the greater Springfield area.
Right.
You have a deep-rooted history of helping out this area in which you grew up in.
Right.
When did that point come where you knew that you wanted to give back to the area?
Well, you know, I had always had sort of that was always part of what I did. I always felt like, you know, I had a gift, and part of that is to give back. And I think that all the bands that I knew coming up back in the 60s and 70s, if you think back, the building of your popularity and fan base was really, there were a lot of benefits involved. But it's interesting that you asked that question, because I did have an epiphany. I mean, about 3 or 4, right about that time that I spoke to you a little bit before, that we took this band, you know, out of Massachusetts and had a couple of major record deals and had a real brush with success, and spent 12 years with Fat, and then another 12 years down in Nashville writing and getting close. And I don't know about everybody else, but for me, you stop and ponder when that's over, and you say, you know, as much as it was a good time and there were a lot of notable accomplishments, I didn't really get, you know, what I was after. So how do you make sense of that then? And what gives that experience in those years value? And Springfield has always been really close to my heart, because that's where the band took root, and where the band, that's the city that embraced the band. And as we took off and headed toward success, and then as we landed, they welcomed us back. And to this day, we still do Stern Square, and thousands of people show up to hear us play. So I've always had a very warm spot in my heart for the city, and I live there now, and I've chosen to live there. There was a moment a couple of years ago when I could have moved, and I thought, no, my wife and I thought, no, we're going to stay here. And I thought, you know, if I could take my music and my experience and help Springfield, you know, it's a city that's going through its struggles like thousands of cities across this country that have lost the job base, and are dealing with economic issues that lead to, you know, security issues and the cycle of violence. And I thought, if I could take my experience, you know, and what I've learned and what I've gained, and the music itself, and sort of use that in Springfield to help make things better for one person. You know, what if you could save one life with your music? That to me is a pretty powerful thought. And so what I decided to do at that time, I think when we met, is to try to create a music-fueled or rock-fueled revenue engine. Because having been in and out of benefits in that whole world, everybody's always asking for money. The nice thing about the music is that if you do it properly, you can generate money. So you're not just asking sponsors and contributors for money, but you could actually do something where you're entertaining people, at the same time you're generating revenue that you can turn back into the community to make life better. So, you know, I'm older now, and I felt like that was something worth, I don't play golf, you know, so I thought that might be something worth spending my time on.
And now you have something. I mean, here we are in the month of December. It's that time of year. People are in the giving mood. You have a project that's coming up towards the end of the month that's going to help out wounded warriors. Right. How did that come about?
Well, it's actually started, you know, it's kind of centric to this very town we're living in. We're at Don Odell's famous Legends. I mean, I got goosebumps even just sitting here, thinking about I just was privileged to give the introduction for John Mayall here, and I've heard the Nighthawks here, and the countless people that have gone through here. But this is Palmer, Mass, and I'm from Munson originally, which is a couple miles down the road, and we played a lot here in the heyday, and we played at a place called Crystal Park, which we used to call Savage Park. There's a song on the past due fat called Savage Park. After dark, ain't no place to be alone. Back doors cracked, the John's out back, and even the cops stay home. But anyway, we ran with a crew around here, and there was a guy named Lawrence Swain. We used to know him, call him LB. And he has followed my music since that time. And he is friends with another gentleman named Dave Callahan, who owns Palmer Paving. And at some point, I bumped into LB. Around the time I think we were doing our last thing, and LB and Dave pal around a lot. They go to see a lot. As a matter of fact, I saw him at the Mayall show here. And Dave is a big fan of blues and rock music. And we all sort of had an idea. I think this actually grew out of a couple of pretty wild parties at Dave's house that got kind of too big. And I think probably Dave's wife said, "You do this again, you're doing it someplace else." But the other element was, so we all love music. You know, we're all friends. I didn't know Dave quite as much back then as I knew LB, but LB knew both of us. And the other thing is that we both love the city of Springfield. We're very comfortable there. We think it's a great town. We know that it needs help, and we believe that bringing this sort of event into the city is the sort of thing that's going to bring it back. So it was a great way to have a good time, you know, to help our brothers and sisters to serve this nation, especially the ones that were wounded in combat, in action, and also to continue this renaissance in Springfield of bringing that city back to being the entertainment capital of Western Massachusetts.
So you put out the feelers, you make some calls, and you just put together a show. And
well, and actually, those guys had the idea, and it came to me. And it began, I was just going to play, and then, you know, as Al Pacino said, every time I try to get out, they keep pulling me back in. I got pulled into their vision and their idea this time, and decided that I wanted to not only want to play at this thing, but I wanted to help promote it and help, because, you know, it was a perfect fit for what I've been trying to do. You know, bumping into a couple of guys who wanted to do the same thing, a couple of guys that believed, and sitting down talking to Dave Callahan and him saying, you know, you got to bring the center of that city back, because really what's good for Springfield is good for the entire region.
We've got the winter music jam to benefit wounded veterans.
Right.
We have Fat on the bill.
Right.
The Curtis Mayflower Band.
Right.
And Jeff Pitchell.
And Jeff Pitchell.
How did Jeff Pitchell come into the mix?
They brought Jeff in. Jeff is, and it's been interesting. Jeff and I have a lot of common friends. I mean, Jeff knows James and plays with James Montgomery and Charles Neville. He's been doing some work with Charles. I've been playing with Charles around here for years. Play with Greg Allman, and we have a long history with the Allman brothers. So, I think that David had Jeff up to his house a couple times. So they put the bill together, and they came to me with that. I just sort of was kind of the boots on the ground guy. I know to put up posters and stuff like that. You know?
This benefit is taking place at the Mass Mutual Ballroom, the Mass Mutual Center Ballroom.
Right.
People might look at that 5:30 start and say, well, it's an odd time for a show, but this is much more than a show. This is dinner, hors d'oeuvres. You're putting out the whole spread for folks with this.
It really is. And I got to say this about Dave Callahan. He really knows how to do it right. It's a prime rib dinner in hors d'oeuvres, and then there's a full cash bar there. And, you know, so the show starts at 5:30, the doors open, and there's cocktail hour and appetizers. And then dinner is served, I think, at around 6 o'clock. And then Curtis Mayflower Band, fine band. Pete Alexi, a guitar player from Munson, who I know, is in that band. And I haven't heard them live, but I checked them out online, and they're really very good. They're like a swampy kind of Tom Petty thing. I hate to categorize, but they're a very good band. But they start, you know, somewhere around the 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we're going to be firing off till midnight. But you know, I did not have the opportunity to go to Dave's parties, but from what I understand, he throws a heck of a party. So it's really, hey, it's $50, 3 rock bands and dinner. It's a pretty good deal, and it goes for a great cause.
And it's going to be, the date of that was coming up, what, December 21st?
December 20th, Saturday, December 20th.
So they can get their tickets by calling or online?
They can get tickets at Falsetti's on Boston Road, and they can get tickets at FreshTix.com online.
Great way to help out.
Yeah, it is.
The Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah, well, we're going to be giving them a donation. Also, Dave has done some great work out in North Brookfield where he has put together an outdoor recreation facility that's retrofitted with ramps so that a lot of these guys can get out there and run around in the woods and you know, do some, you know, have some outdoor fun. So it's great work, and it's something he's been dedicated to, and I really feel you know, honored and privileged to be a part of it, and just excited. There's a group of people here, you know, and it seems to be growing. The people just they want to have some fun and want to you know, make things better, and it's pretty exciting.
You have a great web of friends that can come together for a good cause, and I think this is certainly going to be one of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Peter Newland of FAT, thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Thank you. It's good to see you again. And you're going to be there.
I'll be there.
All right.
I'll be there. I won't miss it.
You're going to MC the show.
I'll be there to MC the show.
Breaking news.
I will be there to MC the show. Get your tickets.
All right. Great.